Man, we're like 6 minutes early. I don't know, man. This Monday thing, right? A lot of things happened this weekend. SummerSlam, that was a thing. We're gonna dive into the nuts and bolts of SummerSlam. Also, Chelsea Green, Sonya Deville out with an ACL injury. We're gonna dive into what that means for the women's tag team division. Also, RVD makes his AEW debut. Why, Jimmy? Why? That's the question that everybody's asking themselves on this lovely Monday. And as promised, we're gonna break down the state of women's professional wrestling, specifically in AEW and WWE. I feel like everybody that pays any attention to this show knows that we've got strong opinions on the women's division. So, should be a pretty good show. We're gonna get into it.
Welcome to the One Fall WrestleCast.
What's up, dude? What? Excuse me, sir. You're in the wrong place.
I'm
you
Tim.
You don't.
Tom's
go
younger
here.
brother.
You don't go here.
Tom's younger brother, the guy without the big gray beard.
And what happened to the other guy? Did he just like wander off?
You mean friend of the show, Derek Housen?
Derek Housen. Listen. This dude, right? Like, where'd he go? He was just here. Like, what? He's like a mangy little mutt. He just like wandered off. Can you imagine like him just muddy feet wandering off, just like, and then woo, here comes the dog catcher, just snatches his little mangy ass up, throws him in the back of the truck, and takes him down to the pond. Huh?
Is that what we allowed to talk about that?
No, fucking no, we're not. We're
all right.
I figured you were gonna pick up,
Not allowed to talk about Dirty Derek like that?
No. So, anyways, let's get on with it here. Hey man, RVD fucking showed up at AEW.
Sure did.
You're not excited about that?
No.
Huh? Rob Van Dam, you're not excited about RVD and AEW starting a feud with Jungle Boy?
No. In fact, man, so okay. This feels exactly like, how when like Goldberg walks out and immediately everybody goes, "Oh, come on." That's exactly how I felt. Like, it's exactly how I felt.
Man, that's disrespectful. RVD's a goddamn legend, bro.
So is Goldberg, but that's still how I feel about Oldberg.
Okay, well, Goldberg's fucking. Let's see. Okay. Goldberg in the words legend, like, I don't feel like they go hand in hand. Like, I understand the dude's accomplished a lot, and he's a WWE Hall of Famer, and the streak, 173,242 and 0. I get it.
He killed everybody. He defeated the Japanese by himself in World War II.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a Goldberg trivia question.
I'm going to miss it entirely because I was never a fan, but let's do it.
Who was his debut match against?
Chris Jericho?
Hugh Morris.
Okay. What was his porn name at the end there when WCW was going down? When it was like Major Guns, and what was he, like, corporate dickhead or something?
Huge Erection.
Huge Erection. That's it. I was thinking corporate dickhead or something like that. But yeah.
Oh shit. Hey, so fucking speaking of WCW towards the end there. So Vince Russo did Chris Van Vliet's podcast sometime in the last 2 weeks, and I started listening to it today on my way home from fucking work. And I was like, I really don't want to listen to this, but all of my bullets are out of this gun here, so like I don't have really anything to listen to, so I'm gonna listen to it. And within the first 32 seconds, he said "bro" 6 times, and I'm like, I wish I had a little clicker in my hand, because I would like to count how many times bro says bro.
See, I would not like that. In fact, he says bro so often that like it makes me like kind of gag a little bit. Like I'm like, like shut the fuck up,
bro.
So, bro, yeah, I can't stand listening to him talk.
So Chris asked him a question, right? Like right out the gate, and he goes, "Well, let me tell you, bro. I mean, bro, oh, bro, like wrestling today, bro. It's just terrible, bro. Like I don't know what you want me to tell you, bro." I said, "Ugh, let me get clicky here, huh?"
That's the other thing too, is that like he thinks wrestling right now is so much better than the bullshit he booked.
Not according to him.
Okay, look, I'm sure he booked whatever he wanted to see, but whatever he wanted to see sank like 2 companies, right? Has anybody killed 2 companies as quickly as Vince Russo did? 2 major companies? Yeah, bro,
he's taking credit for putting the belt on Booker T now. That's his new thing.
Oh, okay. I mean, he put the belt on like 65 different people.
He put the belt on himself too.
Yeah, he put it on himself. He put
it on David Arquette.
He put it. Yeah, I mean, literally everybody. He ran out of people to put the belt on. He put it on so many goddamn
friend of the show, Pat Martin. Bro.
Thanks, Pat.
I don't know who's worse, him or fucking Riddle. That's another thing how about like Meltzer's reporting? So you got to take this with a grain of salt, bro.
Yeah, somebody lied to him.
WWE's talking about they're just not going to push Matt Riddle anymore. I mean, I could see that. He's been that definite JOB squad here recently.
Well, and also he's not. I don't know. It seems like his backstage and out of his non-work antics are not becoming of somebody who they want to push as a face of any brand, really. Like if you think about it, bro, and you think about how they just did SummerSlam, you know, Dom and Rhea weren't really on the SummerSlam card per se, but you know, they were all over doing press, doing this. Can you see Matt Riddle doing press the same way that like Rhea Ripley and Dom Mysterio do press, or the same way that like Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch do press, or Charlotte Flair does press, or anything? Can you see him at that level? Because I can't, you know, I can't see him at that level. I don't think that he's. I mean, I don't know what he's like in real life. Maybe it's great to see him, but all that, bro, like maybe that's cool the first time, but I don't know that that's a long lasting like thing. I don't know if they want to change him, but that seems to be his main personality. Bro. Because they're not going to push him, and that's probably the right call. That's why I'm not being a hater. I don't dislike Matt Riddle. I think his wrestling's pretty good and unique, but at the same time, you know, he just lost to Gunther. What was it? 2 pay-per-views ago, or 1 pay-per-view ago, or whatever.
Gunther!
And that was a great match. They had a good match. They had a good time. But you know, now I think it's time for him to.
Match on the fucking card. I mean,
it was, but you know, and now, but I don't.
Fucking close.
Right, but what are they going to do? Throw him now into a main event title picture? He just lost to Gunther. Like, what are you going to do with him? So, you know, maybe it's time to just let him cool off a little bit, start a feud with somebody else, see what happens. And I don't know that they're necessarily not going to push it, but, like, he's not going to be part of the main event title picture anytime soon. He just lost to the Intercontinental Champion. So, you know, unless they have, I would bet that they might have him feud with Theory or something at some point. But I just see him kind of bouncing around the mid card.
No, it's going to be hard to. It's going to be hard to feud with Theory whenever Santos Escobar is going to beat him on Friday SmackDown. Because you know what, man, and like I don't know, like I've come back with like this fresh perspective on things.
I mean, Matt Riddle's in the ring right now.
Oh, okay, with who?
It's a fatal 4-way, so it's him, Ricochet, Tommaso Ciampa, and Chad Gable. So
okay,
you know,
the winner
standard Monday Night Crew.
The winner gets a shot at Gunther, right?
Yeah.
Matt Riddle's not going to win that match.
No. I think Ciampa is going to get that match.
I agree with that. I think Ciampa is definitely going to, because he's a Triple H guy, and by all accounts, Vince McMahon is kind of out of the mix again here.
Or they'll. Well, I'll tell you what. It'll either be Ciampa, because they'll clearly have a banger, and that's what people are going to want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to beat the fuck out of each other.
Chad Gable's been getting a lot of high praise lately for his ability
to
because he's been killer. And also, Ricochet just put on a great match with Logan Paul. Maybe he's going to get a reward. So
yeah, Logan Paul ended up flying down to his brother's fucking fight and then got in a fight ringside. I don't know if you've seen that. Logan Paul was throwing some potatoes, some taters ringside down there.
I did see that. He must have still been all jacked up from his SummerSlam match.
Live rounds.
Yeah, sure was.
Yeah, still in his ring gear, which I'm sure just made Triple H real fucking happy.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna see Logan Paul for a little bit.
No, you know what? I bet you it's the exact opposite. They're probably like,
they see it as money,
shit, pal.
Lean hard into the controversy. It's what we do.
I mean, Eric Bischoff says it best: controversy creates cash, right?
Yeah, lean hard into it.
That's kind of where we're at. Hey, friend of the show, Pat Mark wants to know, do you think Gunther will surpass Honky Tonk Man as the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion? The short answer, Patrick, is yes, sir. And I think that we learned that on Saturday because if anybody was the right person to take the Intercontinental Championship off of Gunther, it was Mr. Drew McIntyre. So yeah, I definitely think that we're gonna see that be
also walking into it. Commentary announced that he's only 45 days away or whatever it is. It's like in the 40s. The commentary said, he's only 45 days away from being the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time. And I was like, well, he's not gonna lose today. Then they didn't put all this time into it only for him to lose at SummerSlam. Now they had oh my God, that match was incredible. They had a banger, but yeah, I mean, there was as soon as they said that, I was like, yep, Drew ain't winning this one. Not with 45 days left.
Chris says, I would fight Paul. You wouldn't? ? I mean, hey, Bob, here's the deal, okay?
Which one? I wouldn't fight either of them.
I have enough of this here, okay? I'm willing to fucking fight anybody, Bob. Doesn't mean I'm going to win or lose. You know what I mean? I don't know. Tom's out.
Absolutely not.
Dude, I'd headbutt a motherfucker. Like, I'm not fighting fair, bro.
I like having my teeth in my mouth, though. And those guys are actual. Those guys,
I'm biting and shit. Like,
yeah, sure, whatever. I'm biting will knock your teeth out there too. I mean, I like having my teeth in my mouth. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know. That's a good one. Appreciate it.
What was Gable? It's Gable. It's gonna be Gable versus Gunther. Although I think.
Oh, did he win?
Yeah, he just won.
Okay, well, that's good, though. You know what? That's good. That's one of those little flash things. Give Gunther something to do. Keep him active.
Give Chad Gable
he's just going to beat the fuck out of Chad Gable. Like,
but you know what? Chad Gable's gonna give him an awesome suplex.
Thank you.
Although we did already see Gable versus Gunther. We already saw that in it was like a couple weeks ago. But it's okay. I'll watch it again because it was good the first time. He gave Ciampa a great suplex. Although Ciampa is not that big of a guy to suplex, but that was a fun little quick thing there, and I'm glad Chad Gable got a little rub because I like Chad.
Yeah, good
Chad
for him,
Gable.
man. I mean, it seems like him and Otis doing their thing with Maxine Dupree. I mean, that's all kind of coming together. It sucks that it's at the expense of Marseille and Mansois.
Yeah,
I mean, that shit was funny and entertaining, man. But like, good for Chad Gable,
I thought it could have had a few more shows out of it because I thought it was pretty funny, especially some more OTs. Maybe bring everybody in a little bit better, but still good. Oh, Gable's carrying around a kid. What kid is that? That might be his kid. I don't know. Does Chad Gable have kids? It seems like he maybe oughta. Yeah, he kissed the kid. It's got to be his. So anyway, back to SummerSlam. Half of Raw is going to be SummerSlam recap.
Oh yeah, I mean it's definitely it's the comeback. You know what I'm saying? You start into the new thing. You deal with the fallout. You move forward. You start to lay some groundwork for some new shit for next month. You know what I've really started to really enjoy coming out of these PLEs for WWE is the post show press conference. You know, they took something that AEW put into practice and they just elevated it and made it better. I really appreciate the level of journalistic questions that occur, you know, from a personal level, and some of them are from a character level. And the fact that these guys and gals are willing to sit down and genuinely answer these. It's really become something that I look forward to, and it's always good to hear from Triple H too, and kind of lay out the ins and outs of the show and things like that. So I really do appreciate those post-match press conferences. Except Triple H was a dick to Bill Apter on fucking Saturday. There's got to be some sort of heat there.
Why?
Because Triple H was a dick to Bill Apter.
Yeah, he kind of was. I guess we'll see what happens.
Like,
I mean, I'm sure nothing.
Dick to Bill Apter. Hey,
now I have to go back and watch that because I was like, I watched those as I'm falling asleep.
Yeah. But
so now I have to be like, what?
Big old cocksucker, bro. But I don't know, man. What you think about SummerSlam overall?
I loved it. I was gushing to you how much I was loving it. I loved it. I loved every second of it, and I loved every match. And I thought that it was. I think I said a couple months ago or whatever, that WrestleMania is for the marks, but SummerSlam is for the real fans. And man, it was just banger after banger after banger. So many good matches, and I really liked kind of how everything laid out. My only real kind of not complaint, but I have two sort of semi criticisms is the women's stuff, which we'll get into later.
Let's not climb into that right away.
But and then also, I don't know how much more legs that this bloodline stuff has.
Really? Are you really starting to feel that way?
It's just now with the Jimmy, why? Like, I don't know. I'm starting to be like, what now is it Jey Uso versus? Now they brought Jimmy in, so we're going to do 3-on-3 with Kevin Owens and Jey Uso and Sami Zayn versus. But like now it's like all the same players, and we interchange them, and we click one in, we click two out, put two here, put them there. I mean, is that the final blow off? Is that the payoff? You know, where do we go from here? I'm sort of feeling like, you know, this is sort of just prolonging the inevitable.
I mean, Paul Heyman said at the post-fight or the post-match presser that they're in the bottom of the third here, Bob. Like, I feel like this has got to go till WrestleMania at this point because there's no fucking way. There's no way that it's not Roman and Cody at 30 at 40.
Right, but they gotta like get it there. Like we're still months away from that. You know, we're still a long time, like half a year away from that. It's not till
I had a friend who's a very casual wrestling fan say to me this week, "Oh, this shit's getting old." And it wasn't friend of the show Pat Barton. But like, I disagree. I like the twists and turns that continue to come with this, and you know this Jimmy Uso thing. Like, this is something that completely came out of left field for me, and I'm really interested.
I didn't expect it either. Truth be told, but at the same time, like, it definitely just prolonged everything a little bit more. So I'm like, okay, where do they go from here? Why are we doing this? But I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, so I don't know. For me, it's still got some good legs, but you know, I don't know that Jay was the right guy to beat Roman either, man. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we come in here and we keep repeating the same thing. It's like, well, I don't know that he was ready, or I don't think he was the right guy, or he wasn't.
Jay felt more like the right guy than, in my opinion, than Cody did at the time.
Really?
Well, I think next year at WrestleMania, Cody will probably feel like more the right guy than he did this year, because there'll be a whole nother year of Cody like overcoming shit under the belt. But I mean, that's the like, I don't know. That's kind of where I sit with that. It's very. At the time, Cody didn't feel like he had put enough time in, just due to the injury. As of next year, I think he will have put enough time in. But at the same time, like, I feel like Jay actually definitely put the time in, especially if you consider all the way back to the beginning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think Jay had actually put the time in. It would have been shocking, but at the same time, like, it would have kind of been great, especially if it was like due to like some kind of screw up, like, maybe Solo hits Rome, maybe Solo turns on Roman or something, or Jimmy
I feel
comes
like
out.
That's got to happen, right? Like, I think that we're definitely leading up to this giant implosion that's going to somehow leave Roman by himself with no championship and no tribe to chief. But like, how much longer is that going to take for us to get there is the big question. And
maybe to WrestleMania.
If you're exactly right, and it's
maybe
like,
WrestleMania.
If you're taking Paul Heyman's word for it, like, that's, to me, is the logical place to send in the closer. Like, especially we didn't get The Rock, we didn't get John Cena.
Did we get any SummerSlam comebacks?
No.
We got
Karrion Kross's hairline, but that's about it.
Yeah, that was that match was okay. He
looks cute, doesn't he? Old Kevin
with his hair all floppied out. Yeah, he looks like Kevin. Yeah, you guys kind of have a similar haircut. You have a better hairline than he does, though.
Like, if my hair was wet,
yeah,
they call me Kevin. But I don't know, man. Like, it just didn't scratch the itch for me, bro. If I'm being honest, I feel like there wasn't a semblance of a good show.
Really? You didn't? You weren't like, I was enthralled.
I mean, okay.
I liked it. I liked the whole thing from start to finish. I was a fan. I had a good time.
Okay.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
I get caught up in the hype, though.
Outside of Gunther and Drew McIntyre, do you know what the most exciting thing for me was?
Was it Cody and Brock? Because that was awesome.
No, that was pretty cool though. I will say that. And Triple H said it afterwards that wasn't planned in any way, shape, or form. That Brock just was kind of like, all right, here you go. I'm gonna raise your hand. I'm gonna show you some love to these people. And Triple H even said, hey man, Brock doesn't get enough fucking credit for how good he actually really truly is. And he's gonna go down as one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, that was one of the best Brock Lesnar matches I've seen. I mean, truth be told, I think Brock Lesnar has been doing his best work in the last year or 2 years maybe. Since he entered number 1 at Royal Rumble and just chucked dudes, I feel like Brock has done no wrong since then. That was the beginning.
Oh, we all know you're a Brock Lesnar mark, pal.
I am, particularly when he's just killing people.
So here's a good one. Chris wants to know, so if you could fight any wrestler, who would it be, even if you have to lose?
Bailey.
Okay, listen, bud. Okay, I need you to just pull your mind out of the gutter for a second, okay? I mean, I think I would lose that match too, just okay. Let's hit the rewind button. Let's try this again, okay? All right, here we go. Chris wants to know, so if you could fight any wrestler, who would it be, even if you have to lose?
Nikita Lyons. No. Even if I
Again,
had to
another
lose,
solid choice.
I'm doing Ben 1,000 here. Who would I want to fight? Probably Kevin Owens, if I'm being honest, because I want to take a stunner.
Oh, that's cool. That's fair.
Like I want to take a stunner. I feel like that would be, it would be a very short match, obviously, but I want to take a stunner, and I feel like I could take a stunner really well. I've had a lot of practice taking stunners, and I feel like I could do that really well. And
would you sell it like The Rock?
No, I think I would sell it more like either like Shawn Michaels, where I just like fly away and like just tumble a bunch, but not like with my legs kicked out like I was dead. Or I would sell it like Razor Ramon sold it, just a big jump.
Yeah, that would be the only way I'd be able to sell it, because I wouldn't be able to bend down far enough to sell it any other way. I don't know. For me, I gotta feel like Baron Corbin, because my name's not Gable Steveson. My name's not Gable Steveson, so at least I'm probably gonna get a fucking crowd pop.
A little bit. Fair enough.
But
it'd be sweet to see you Vader bomb Baron Corbin though.
We still have to Vader bomb Derek.
We sure do.
That still needs to be a thing. Like, we still need to Vader bomb Derek. We'll do that. How good was Seth Rollins and fucking Finn Balor though?
That was fantastic too. It was so good. I even really liked the end too, because Priest was like trying to say, let me come in. You can win. We'll get them together, kind of a thing. And Balor's like, that's not what Balor was thinking. You could tell he's like, what are you doing here? What's going on?
He just kept saying, stick to plan A, stick to plan A.
Yeah. And it was like, and he ended up taking the stomp on the briefcase, and I was like, oh, and like you saw Priest's face just be like, motherfucker. So I'm actually curious to see. That'll probably sort of be the main event-ish thing tonight. I'm curious.
It was great. It was great. That was, listen, and again, I said this before we started talking about SummerSlam. It's like, hey man, there was some awesome moments, and there was a semblance of a great show there. It just didn't do it for me. And I don't know if it's some of the debacle that we're going to talk about here a little bit later. But I mean, even the first match was really botchy. Like, I don't know if that's nerves, opening SummerSlam. Ricochet hadn't been in that position in a long time. Him and Logan.
I thought it was pretty good. I didn't think it was
a great build. I mean, they had a couple of pretty big spots that was botchy. Like, he did the running climb, the running climb in the corner, slipped and fell. And it just. A lot of timing issues on the show on Saturday for SummerSlam that really just kind of took me out of it a little bit. And I mean, I'll dive more into that whenever we start talking about the booking of the women's division and the things that have been said and are being said, because that is still coming here down the pipes. And by the way, if you're here and you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up button. We would really super greatly appreciate it. And if you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. But, man, I don't know. I don't know. It was a good show. I don't want to sit here and say it wasn't a good show, but
I had a good time.
It had a chance to be a fucking great show. And it was just like, that was okay.
It was pretty good.
It was fine.
Nah, it was better than fine. It was pretty good. I don't know that it was like this epic, oh my God, we're going to talk about it forever kind of a thing. But obviously won't be making it. I am home now. Okay, got it. Okay. Anyway, you see that?
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay.
It's fine. It's fine.
All good.
So, yeah, man. I don't know. It just didn't do it for me, man. Just didn't do it for me. I was let down. I said it out loud, and I still feel that way. Yeah. I saw it. I saw it, and it still hurt. It still hurt. So here's the thing, pal. Here's the fucking thing. All right. I cannot deal with the fact that this women's division just continues to get shit on, and we're not there yet. We're not there yet.
Okay, I was saying I was thinking like we're good.
We're not there yet. I just kind of lost my mojo here for a second, so just give me a second to find
recalibrate.
Too much stimulation. I was reading comments, was reading chats, was reading text messages. Too much stimulation here. Just give me a second to fucking find my bearings here. Did you watch Collision?
What did I watch? I watched parts of Collision. Loved Samoa Joe's promo. Loved it. What else did I see on Collision? Let me pull up the ye old list here. I watched part, like I had it on, but I was busy. The kids were here. They were running around. They were being kind of not great. So like I had to keep leaving and had to keep doing other stuff. And I was trying to get other things done. So it was Punk versus Stark. I watched that. And Steamboat was the referee. I saw that a little bit so I wanted to watch that. Brian Cage and Big Bill killed people, or FTR Brian Cage Big Bill. That was pretty fun. Then we had what? I didn't watch Statlander versus Mercedes Martinez, although I kind of wanted to. And then Samoa Joe had a promo.
Chris Statlander fucking squatting fucking what's her nuts on Instagram.
Yeah, that was great. Renee Paquette.
Yeah. Thank God she didn't blow that ACL, huh?
That's what you said. I was like, oh man, so close. Like that's the kind of ridiculous wrestling.
Shots fired, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
That's the kind of ridiculous wrestling stuff that I really like. Like I think that stuff's funny. Like because somebody squatted Mean Gene Okerlund? Am I wrong? Somebody picked him up or something.
Oh, was it Tony Atlas? Maybe
it might have been.
No, bro.
But yeah, like I feel like it was maybe more than one person. That because like somebody did it and then somebody else did it and so it was like a thing that he got picked up. And that's the kind of stuff like the Bushwhackers used to do, stuff like that. So to me, the stuff that's like I'm just gonna pick up the announce guy or whatever is like it's kind of hilarious. So the fact that Statlander did it to Renee Paquette, I was
but I mean, hey, Bub, she's got some questionable fucking knees, bud. You know
she sure does. Like, they've both gone down pretty hard.
Wouldn't be putting myself in that situation.
I mean, maybe they're good now. I don't know. Maybe her knees are okay.
Hey, how about Slim Jim? How about Slim Jim fucking sponsoring SummerSlam? First time WWE's been sponsored by Slim Jim since, I don't know, 95 when Macho Man left.
Yeah.
Do you think that they did a pretty good job, like, being real coy about it? It's like, oh, are you a Slim Jim savage? Oh,
they were.
Oh, you got to be a savage to eat the Slim Jim. Uh-huh. I thought that was funny, and then also too what I thought was really funny, and I had put this in the group and nobody touched it, and I'm gonna bring it up right now because I think it bears conversation. Io Sky wins the world championship. Okay, she cashes in, wins the world championship, and which phenomenal moment, and that's gonna still all tie into what we're gonna talk about at the end of the show. So if you're sticking around for the state of the women's division, you are in the right place. But Michael Cole goes, they do this flash over to like all these UK fans. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. Okay, you Japanese woman just won the world championship and you flash to UK fans just wigging out. And he's like, oh, those fans are over in the UK happy about Io Sky winning. She won the Money in the Bank over there and they were watching live on TNT Sports UK. I'm like, okay, this bears a Google search. So I Googled it. And sure as shit, TNT Sports UK is a Time Warner Discovery property.
Absolutely it is.
Pew pew, shots fired.
They shoot those underhanded stabs and shots are fired all the time. Constantly.
I still don't like it though.
I don't either. I try to ignore it, especially if it's that subtle. But at the same time, Yes, I agree. I don't like it. I don't think the shots fired back and forth. It's a bad look in AEW when they do it, but it's an even worse look for WWE because they're not even competition. As I sit here in my
Okay. All right. Why do you always have to go here? Like, why can't you just be cool, Tom? Just be cool. Like, you're wearing a fucking AEW t-shirt.
I am. I love this shirt. This is a great shirt.
Just saying. Like, why can't you just be cool, man? Like, why you always gotta go this way? Huh?
I clearly support their product, so I don't know what you're getting at here. I'm just calling a spade, huh?
Like, and now I read right before we came in here that like All In is poised to beat WWE's WrestleMania record, which is 93,000 some fans at the Pontiac Silverdome, or if you ask Hulk Hogan, the Louisiana Superdome. See what I did there? Because he got it backwards and talked to. Anyways, that was a sniff. I don't believe that.
You don't believe that they're going to beat the record, or you don't believe that's how many that's how many tickets are sold?
I mean, considering that from what I gather, the stadium's only able to hold 86-ish.
And that's with the floor. Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me either. I don't think that. I mean, unless they're counting people that stand out in the parking lot or something, like where are we going to put these people? Like, I don't understand. Are they just like going to hang them from the ceiling somehow? They're going to like.
Well, I mean, have you ever been to a Pirates game, Bob? People pay for seats and stand in the thingy. You know what I'm saying? Probably because it's closer to the beer, because there's sure shit more action at the concession stand than there is on the fucking field. But that's neither here nor there.
Look, they are mediocre as fuck, is what they over there in PNC Park. They are in no contention to do anything else but finish somewhere around 500. That's all they're in contention for.
Okay. So I went to my first Pirates game in, I don't know, 12 years, a couple of weeks ago.
Really? You went to one? I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't pay for it. That's why I went.
That helps. The last one I went to, I didn't pay for either.
But like, I think we got there like the bottom of the first inning, and the Pirates were already losing 5-0.
Yeah, they had to come back a lot.
And then it was 1-2. It was a 1-2-3 bottom of the first, and we were all just like, let's go to the bar.
Yeah,
and that's what we did.
Drank $14 beers at the bar.
Yeah.
Somebody else paid for them, I hope.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
Shout out to Tony. You know what I mean? But
cheers, Tony.
I don't understand why like the AEW's gotta jump into this juvenile dick measuring contest all the time, and then every time that they do, Triple H gotta fucking fire back because he just can't help himself.
No, he can't.
Even at the press conference, he was like, he made a subtle jab about Twitter, about getting good with his emojis and stuff like that. That to me, I took it as a shot at Tony Khan, like, because Triple H doesn't run his own fucking Twitter.
No,
the motherfucker doesn't have time to run his own.
No, he does not. He doesn't run his own Twitter.
But Tony Khan's out there actually tweeting that dumb shit.
Oh yeah, no, there was no paid intern that does what Tony Khan does on Twitter. Triple H's Twitter is looks about as college graduate social media manager as humanly possible. It is so on the line, by the book. He doesn't share anything that's not a direct link back to either the WWE website, the WWE YouTube channel, or reshare something that WWE has already shared. I assume his social media manager is one of the same guys that runs the WWE social media stuff. So it's all that team of people.
God.
For sure. Because Triple H ain't tweeting shit.
That's hilarious.
Tell me I'm wrong.
I'm not. Listen, hey, bub, I'm sorry, but like, comment and chat kind of just got me off kilter. It says $14 beers, LOL. I would rather buy some crack. That's funny, bro.
That's real funny.
I mean, that's a better use of your money, that's for certain.
What, the crack?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like
you could stretch it a little bit longer.
The crack? Can't you?
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know. I've never done crack.
I don't know.
I hear it's a hell of a drug.
Only somebody was here that could help us with this.
He doesn't know. He just smokes a lot of pot.
How'd you know I was talking about him?
Because, I mean, it's clearly evident who else would be here. I mean, and it's not Friday, so we know the friend of the show, Pat Martin's not joining us. He's here in the chat, which is dope, and we always appreciate BP being here to support us. So I don't know, man, but like, and then you got Tony Khan coming out this week talking about, oh, we're not number 2 in this, and we're number 1 in this, and we're lead. Bro, no, why? What? What? Because you got your feelings hurt? The Triple H called you a secondary promotion again? Like, get over it. He called you a T-shirt company fucking 3 years ago.
Yeah, secondary promotion's a huge upgrade.
Oh my God.
From T-shirt company?
It really is the same.
They're not a very good T-shirt company, says the guy wearing a T-shirt right now from their T-shirt company.
Listen, pal, did it come in a pink package?
No, it came in a white bag that had AEW stuff all over it.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe because, like anytime I've ordered something from AEW shop, it's come in the 1 hour tease bag from ProWrestlingTees.com.
It's the same bag. It's just a different color and it's got AEW. They must have got AEW specific stuff because it's definitely still Pro Wrestling Tees. It's the same stuff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You can go to Pro Wrestling Tees website and then still go directly to, so, I don't know, man. Like, I just feel like there's a lot of bullshit that just kind of needs to stop. And like, everybody always talks about how, WWE kind of just lives in its own bubble and they don't ever acknowledge anything from the outside, and et cetera, et cetera. And then, you got AEW and like Nigel McGuinness did the AEW Unrestricted podcast this past week. And I listened to that. That was a good listen because, I like Nigel's work. Obviously, his time in NXT was phenomenal and he's doing a great job on Collision. So I was excited to listen to it. I was excited to listen to it and see what he had to say. And he was talking about that specifically. He was like, when you're up there, when you're at WWE, he was like, they live in their own bubble. You don't get to talk too much about things that are outside. He's like, and yeah, I'm not going to sit here and act like I didn't, but like I have some name identity, and for things that I've accomplished in the wrestling industry. And then, to be able to go to AEW and none of that's off limits. It's a really cool place to be, to be able to talk about like my past experiences and the things that I've seen, throughout my career and acknowledging, so to speak, those things that have happened. So, I mean, I like it from that standpoint where, yeah, like they're letting each other know, hey, we're here, but at the same point in time, it's just like, just handle your business, man. Handle your business. You don't need to be in my business to deal with yours.
It's a little cringy at times, particularly. I mean, every time it happens, it's a little bit cringy. And at this point, it's way overplayed as well. Like it's been years. It's just everything is where it is. AEW is clearly the number 2 promotion. They're not really gaining any traction to catch WWE at this moment.
Well, not according to Tony Khan.
Well, he's wrong. I mean, I can read numbers just as well as anybody else can, maybe even a little better than a lot of people can, considering that's half of what I do for a living. But
hey, do you know what the ratings for Collision were on Saturday? I forgot to look.
No, I didn't look.
Okay.
Collision's ratings haven't been great. Saturday night's has not been they've been better than they were. Like they had like a big debut. It was like 1 million people on. Like it was like a big debut.
I'm just interested because they were up against SummerSlam. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I'm sure.
I don't dive too much into
I can look into it.
Into the meat and potatoes of the ratings. That's kind of your gig. You know what I mean? But like, I was interested to see if maybe they had been released yet and if we knew what they were. So you don't say a wrestling promoter
nah.
lying about numbers.
No, they don't. I haven't seen. They haven't posted Collision. That should actually all come out tomorrow, I think, because everything over the weekend usually hits Tuesday. We usually, if we talk about ratings, we talk about them on Wednesday because they come out like Tuesday afternoon. So like we kind of chat about them and I throw them into the group chat, but it hasn't popped out yet. So I don't have numbers. And for whatever reason, I'm suppressed by Brian Alvarez is suppressed on my Twitter, probably because he doesn't pay for a check mark or something. So, that I usually that would be like at the top thing as soon as he posted because I always interact with him, and he hates me. But no, it hasn't been posted yet.
Yeah, well, he doesn't not like anybody. I mean, that's kind of a thing, right? Like. He's one of those cynical wrestling journalists that just, if people disagree with him, he doesn't see your thingy thing,
Yeah.
So, hey man, you're gonna tell me that a wrestling promoter lies about numbers?
I mean, clearly.
Hey man, what are you talking about? I'm not a secondary promotion. I don't run a secondary promotion. I'm fucking out here. I'm just running the best goddamn wrestling product that's out there right now. I mean, we are an alternative to WWE and what WWE does. I don't understand why everybody just can't understand that. Well, why? Okay, listen. If you look at AEW and you look at the foreign markets, we're outperforming WWE in Canada. Okay, we're outperforming WWE in the Kingdom of the United. Okay, all right. And listen, if I really wanted to, I would get on a fucking plane and I would fly to Saudi Arabia and I would show the Arabian Prince that I mean fucking business. Okay, and fucking Vince McMahon, who pal? All right, because that's good shit right there. That's good shit. Okay, don't come at me, Tom, about your bullshit about my fucking ratings being lies. All right, I don't appreciate it. Don't stop it.
That was awesome. Can we clip that as like a?
Yeah, sure. I mean, even though the Cocaine Tony, the Cocaine Tony that I clipped last week didn't really draw big numbers this week. Yeah, kind of like I thought. I thought I titled it really well too. I mean,
I watched it.
I mean, you lived it.
I lived it, and then I rewatched it and laughed again. But it's this goes back to all the cringy, it being cringy, because like what's the like why? What's the point? Why being the number 2 promotion for the first time in 20 years? There's a promotion that's actually legitimately okay to watch, like good to watch sometimes. He's taking what should look and feel like a compliment, like an insult. WWE's been in business for 60 years. You telling me a 4-year-old wrestling company is going to come in and be number 1 over the 60-year-old company that owns the market share, that owns all the big contracts and has owned all the big contracts because they owned all the market share for 20 years. You're telling me that coming in and carving out your little niche isn't something to be proud of? Like, get the fuck out. Like, clearly you're not number 1 over the 60-year brand that has had 60 years to develop a fan base. Like, I don't understand the problem here. Why he gets so bent out of shape about it. Like, is it because he threw his money at it? Is that why? It's like, well, I paid for this. It's got to be the best. Like, is that the problem? Is that like how rich guys think? Like, it's stupid. It's really, really stupid. Like, just accept that you're doing a pretty good job and that things are getting better. Obviously, because they just got a new show. They keep getting more time and more stuff. So, I don't know. They just Tony Khan needs to lay off the snowballs a little bit, I think.
No, I mean I don't disagree with you at all, but I'm not surprised by any of the shit that's going on. I don't like it, but I'm not surprised. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man.
It's like he thinks there's a war, but there's clearly not a war. You know? Like, what the fuck? Like it's like, well, the war. It's like there's no war. You guys, they're not even head to head really most of the time. You know, they kind of avoid each other, and it's just like, hey, we got all this wrestling to watch. Am I busy? No, I'm not. Let's put on a wrestling. That's all it is.
So I don't know anymore. I just don't know. Like, why has it got to be this thing like all the time? Like, can we just all hang out and just watch some wrestling?
I mean, that's all I'm doing.
Just
Hanging out,
everybody
watching
love
wrestling.
everybody. Everybody love everybody.
Stop it right now. Love
Hey,
each other, damn it.
So our boy Nick Aldis is in the news.
Is he finally coming to the WWE?
Yeah, allegedly as a producer. He's at Raw tonight.
As a producer? Really? Is he that old that they're like, you know what? Like, you know what? You 6'6", beautiful bastard. We don't want you to wrestle. We just want you to stand back here and tell other people what to do as far as wrestling is concerned. Really?
It's wild, right? Like I don't understand. Like, my man is good. Like, why are we relegating this guy to be a producer?
I don't know. I really don't know. It really doesn't.
I mean, AJ Styles is fucking 46.
AJ Styles is one of the best wrestlers to ever wrestle in the history of wrestling, though. To be fair.
No, that's fair.
Yeah, AJ's like really good at wrestling.
I mean, but so is Nick Aldis. It's not
fair.
Like it's not like my man's a scrub.
No, I mean, you're right. He's not a scrub. He's not AJ Styles, though. I don't know. How old's Nick Aldis? I mean, I don't have a great argument for this.
Are you looking at?
Yeah, I'm looking up how old Nick Aldis. He's 36. Okay, I have nothing. I got nothing. Unless he wants to. Unless it's totally a his call kind of thing. Like maybe he just hurts from having to work with amateur jabronis this long because he's never been in WWE and never had like a year-long feud with Baron Corbin, like most top guys have. And you know, maybe it's just he hurts and he doesn't want to anymore, and he wants wrestling money and he wants to do wrestling things. He just doesn't want to take wrestling bumps. Maybe it's a personal decision. That's the only thing that makes sense to me, though, at this point.
Does that mean Mickie James is coming back?
I mean, maybe potentially. Maybe also as a producer. Maybe they're a package deal.
What's in the fucking bag, Mickie?
Her clothes and shit from her locker. That's what it was.
Well, I mean, we
remember?
We knew that.
We saw it on the internet.
We knew that, but she made it seem like there was millions and millions of dollars of personal valuables inside the bag.
No, it was sweaty underpants. That's all anybody has in their wrestling locker is sweaty underpants. Like, what the fuck else would you put in there? Maybe some alleged. Maybe some sweaty ring gear.
That's a little less creepy.
Sweaty ring gear?
Yeah.
You don't think they wear underpants under the ring gear? I think it's just the gear.
I mean, Brock Lesnar had some underpants on under his ring gear.
I was gonna say Brock Lesnar wears underpants. If Brock Lesnar's not too good for underpants, you tell me nobody else is too good for underpants?
I mean, just saying, pal. Like, it's a good thing he had some underwear on.
Good for him, yeah. I mean, you gonna walk out there in weird basketball shorts and just like, you know, have your nuts hanging free while you're taking bumps and shit? I don't know that I want my nuts to hang free while I... Do you remember the episode of Tough Enough where some guy took a bump and Triple H was like, one of your nuts is hanging out of your shorts there? You remember that? That's like the one episode where like Triple H is berating them for like just existing or whatever, and he's like having them take bumps. And he says, if you threw a punch like that, I'd give you a real receipt or whatever. One guy took a bump. It wasn't a guy that won. I think this guy might have been the guy that got kicked off that night. He goes, just so you know, one of your nuts is hanging out of your shorts there.
Wrestling.
Love wrestling. It's so
Internet
good, isn't it?
Things, you know, I just.
What's going on in our chat here? I'm confused. Pat's talking a lot.
I'm not really sure. So
Chris was banned and their comments were removed. Oh, okay. What happened here?
I don't really know.
All right. Fair enough.
Don't really know. Derek must have taken care of that because, you know, he's working behind the scenes. You know.
Attaboy, Derek.
There you go, bub.
Attaboy.
Way to earn that fucking paycheck, pal.
Attaboy, Derek.
Hey, way to earn that paycheck, pal. Had a little stage fright today. Hey, so let's check this out real quick. Hold on. Because then we'll go ahead and we'll start moving into some things here.
Talk about the ladies.
Yeah. Why is that doing that? All right. Pat wants to know where LA Knight came from. He was in Impact, and Eli Drake was his shtick. So I'm gonna go ahead and let's see if I got this right this time. If I actually shared the audio correctly. I haven't seen this yet.
It's muted. She's muted. There you go.
Bigger motivation and just passion for what I already love doing, and that's being in the WWE. So I love you guys. I wanted to thank you guys for all your support and tell you that I'm going to be back sooner rather than later, and I'm going to be ready to put my hair up and square up. What's up, guys? So obviously the tag team titles are cursed. I'm just kidding.
That's what I said.
She's not wrong.
Okay,
She's not wrong.
No.
I mean, so here's the thing, right? And I'm glad that she's optimistic, and I'm definitely disappointed.
Oh yeah, I'm way disappointed.
That's the first time I've seen that, by the way.
My reaction to just hearing the news was, "Fuck." Like, because I like them. I like what's going on. And it sucks. Because I really like Sonya Deville. I think Sonya Deville is probably the most underrated woman on the women's roster. And has been for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And she's finally getting a chance to get some shine and do her thing. And then this dumb shit just happens.
I mean, it's just and it was like a freak thing too. It wasn't like it was anybody's fault or anybody botched anything. It's just sometimes shit happens, and that's exactly what it was. Just shit happened. Landed a little too hard on one leg, and a little too hard on one leg, and just boop. Sucks. So sucks.
Absolutely. Positively, and she's right. Those fucking tag team titles are cursed. You were right. Those tag team titles are cursed. You know, Chelsea Green, though. You know, we'll see what they do. And you know, we were kind of talking about this before we hit go live, and it's like she could probably hold them by herself for a couple of weeks and kind of just, you know, let me speak to your manager, Hot Mess Express, Karen. Chelsea Green could come out, but that doesn't have long-term legs. So, like, you're looking at least, 8 months to a year that Sonya Deville is going to be out. You know, and on top of that, you've got it. But what do you do with the tag team championships, the women's tag team championships? Do you put them back on Liv and Raquel? I think that ship sailed, right? You certainly can't put them on Ronda Rousey or fucking Sonya or Shayna Baszler, because they just had the worst fucking match in the history of SummerSlam. Worst fucking matches. You know, we want to talk about smoking crack, like fucking that's worse than fucking the Road Warriors in '92. Fucking Hawk, just like
I mean, Hawk was high as fuck though. To be fair to Hawk.
Wait, you want me to go? I got tagging over here. Wait. Right, like. That thing was a fucking shit show. And I was glad that it was over. I'm glad that the Ronda Rousey experiment is over. But let's talk about the fucking women's division, bub. Okay. 3 years ago when we started this show, women's wrestling was at the absolute height of professional wrestling entertainment. Like, there was not a better booked division in pro wrestling across any company, right? Like, our like second or third episode was solely based around the women's division and how fucking good it was. Okay. So here we are some 3 years later. AEW has since birthed and become a larger thing. And like, you know, we can talk about fucking Hikaru Shida being the first ever 2-time women's champion, which doesn't make sense to me because no, she's the second ever because Toni Storm was the first ever 2-time women's champion.
No, wasn't Riho 2 times?
Yeah.
Before?
Yeah, that's right. So I mean,
but Riho, then Toni Storm.
Did she win it a second time? She won the new belt, didn't she?
Yeah, Riho, because Riho, it was real short. Second reign, real short.
But like this, we really kind of started talking about this a couple of months ago, and like maybe even longer. It might be almost a year ago. We kind of started a little bit of chatter on this because it's been about a year since Naomi and fucking and Sasha walked out. And I think that that's kind of the crescendo of this story, right? Like everything kind of seemed to start kind of going downhill a little bit after that happened, despite Derek's opinion about Sasha Banks or anything. Like, I feel like if we could hit the Wayback Machine, we would look at that. We would look at that from a standpoint of that's kind of where things started to fall apart, right?
You can argue that that's the initial crack that has now spread a good bit, particularly as far as the women's tag titles are concerned. But like it has now cascaded a little more into into the main event picture.
No, it absolutely has, and I feel like we've seen this steady decline over the last couple of years of where we were at and where we are now. And you know, we even can see signs. It's almost like some of the chatter is that they're taking women's wrestling back to the Divas area, and that was said specifically about Tony Khan. And I don't believe that that's Tony Khan's thing, right? That's not really. I didn't look at him in the fashion where it's like, oh, we're gonna have a bra and panties match, right? Like right. I don't see this. So that to me is a harsh criticism. But recently it's come out that there's a lot of drama going on in the AEW women's locker room. Do you know who Lufisto is?
Yeah, kind of.
So I guess she's like a French-Canadian independent wrestler that was invited to come to AEW sometime last year. And she spoke out this week about the locker room, the women's locker room specifically, about how terrible of an environment it is. And she said something along the lines of, you know, when I was there, you know, we didn't have much time to talk about things. And, you know, she cited that Ruby Soho was very rude and condescending, and that Dustin Runnels, it was actually just a downright cocksucker, talking about, you know, are all you French Canadians assholes and you all fucking this and you all fucking that. And they said they don't, and she said she doesn't understand why anybody would treat somebody coming in off the streets like that, you know, that's trying to get a job there, right?
It was until that happened, and then
yeah,
like, fuck it, I don't want to work here. Fuck these people.
You know, so I find that to be interesting. And then like there's all this chatter about Britt Baker and like, you know, that she's not a good human being behind the scenes. And she's very much like Shawn Michaels in 95, just worried about only her spot, what her legacy is and stuff like that. And while I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing that she's concerned about what she looks like or how she's presented, I can see that. I could see her maybe being a little controversial backstage, if I'm using a safe word.
Maybe. I don't know. It's like there's a lot. So I feel like the AEW women's locker room in particular has been like kind of always on the verge of being at each other's throats. And I think this all started with maybe not all started, but I think that this sort of all came to light during Thunder Rosa's reign. And then when she got hurt and they were interim champions and all that shit, like it always felt like AEW's women's locker room in particular was like particularly salty about stuff. And I'm not entirely sure why that is. Other than the fact that they just don't get a whole lot of time necessarily. So maybe like they have to scrape and claw for those, precious few moments. But, I think that like we're getting to the point now where like it's starting to become an issue and it's kind of bleeding out a little bit. Like it clearly bleeds out into AEW, but also within WWE, it's not been great either. So,
we'll get to the other side of that coin here in a minute, because I feel like the state of the women's division in AEW is something that you and I have particularly been critical about since AEW's inception.
It's never really been good.
No, and it really hasn't. And when Britt was the champion,
it had moments of like brightness, but it's like
that's definitely been the peak of what they've had as far as the semblance of a women's division. And sure, we can circle that back and we can talk about the Pittsburgh roots and this and that, and that's why we saw it the way that we saw it. And maybe that's true, but I don't believe that it is, right? But like even like Toni Storm's last reign here, that she just lost to fucking Hikaru Shida, which I don't understand. Somebody made a comment that Tony Khan's taking care of his pandemic warriors, unlike Drew McIntyre and WWE. Fuck out of here. That was a terrible decision. I'm sorry.
I mean, not only is Shida not nearly as over as she was prior.
How does she get worse every week?
I mean, her stock has fallen. Like year one, at the end of year one, Hikaru Shida was like, oh my God, Shida's amazing. At this point, it's like every week, it's like the only way I can describe this is, have you ever been in a band and somebody in the band doesn't practice ever?
No.
Okay, so she's like that.
I mean, like, that's probably a fair assessment.
She's like there's a person in the band and she's in this band too. And every week she shows up and she doesn't know the songs. And she never knows more of the songs. And that's really what it is. That's really what Shida is.
No, I think that's fair. But like, it's just not, she's just not up to snuff, man. Like, how
does she continue to get worse? I feel like is the thing. Like
exactly.
During the pandemic, even I feel like she started strong and was like good week on week, and then like week after week after week, it's like she forgot how to wrestle.
She did forget how to wrestle, and she continues to forget how to wrestle, and we just put a fucking championship on her. For what? I mean, at least with Toni Storm holding the belt, it kind of maybe sort of meant something because she was in the thingy thing with the thingy thing. I don't get it, man. I just, you've got the three biggest stars outside of Britt Baker in one little thingy in the women's division, and you got the championship there. God knows where Jamie Hayter's fucking at.
I think she's hurt. Is she not?
Yeah, I think so too.
I think she's hurt.
I think so too. But like, I don't know, man. There's just a lot of questionable things going on over there. You know what I'm saying? And
I think that Thunder Rosa's being out for as long as she has really kind of fucked up that all the plans they had, because that roster's not deep at all. So I mean, truth be told, I don't know why they didn't just put it back on Britt Baker. It doesn't make sense to me why, if they were going to take it off Tony, put it on Britt. She's a face now. Her friend is hurt, who just like the story writes itself. Just do it that way. It doesn't make sense to put it back on Shida, who literally isn't on television more than once a month.
Well, maybe that's what he's trying to accomplish by putting it on Shida, is because she's not around to be on television but once a month, and she's content to live in that role, and he can just make his women's division quietly go away.
I mean, it's not that they've ever been there per se. It's like they get a one segment per show, and if that even, I don't know that Rampage gets a women's segment every week. Collision gets a short one sometimes. Sometimes it's just a promo. But Dynamite always gets a one full women's match. It's just a one match. They put like 8 matches on the show, but they get a one match out of the women. It's usually the shortest one on the show too. So, you know, the women have 8-ish minutes to work with. The men have the rest of the show. I don't know. It's in AEW, I feel like he's kind of damned if he does, damned if he doesn't, right? Like it's easy to criticize not giving the women enough time. And truthfully, they need more time. Like they need more reps, and that they're not getting that in front of a live crowd. And it's painfully obvious that they're not. But at the same time, like that's also always the worst segment of the show, because he'll traipse them out there. He'll give them 5 minutes. They put on a slow, stumbly kind of botchy match. Somebody gets a pin, and then they move on, and we don't hear about it again, and nobody gives a shit. And that's really the problem. And that's kind of, at least as far as AEW is concerned, that's really what continues to happen. And it's just stagnant. It's stagnant now.
There's zero equity in the AEW women's division.
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like if they could just get them some more TV time and get them some more reps, that there's enough talent in that locker room to maybe make some chicken salad out of chicken shit. But it's hard to be better when you're not getting time to work. And it's hard to have time to work when you have 5 hours of television a week. And 2 of those hours are a completely different thing.
Mm-hmm.
Zero equity in the AEW women's division. And it kind of feels like, on the other side of things, that maybe Triple H has lost a little bit of steam with women, or maybe he's pumped the brakes on some things because his folks that he helped foster and develop, like a Dakota Kai, an Io Sky, a Kairi Sane, and help make those types of people, a Chelsea Green even had success in NXT with Triple H.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, I mean, you got Casey Catanzaro, who's been, popping in there, her, and what's her Caden Carter, is that her name?
Caden Carter.
But they're not that anymore. They're fucking something dumb. But like,
they have a name, or whatever their name is. It's not just
so we're seeing little sprinkles of them, and I mean, while they were the women's tag team champions in NXT, they weren't overwhelming. But like,
their matches were entertaining, and they always had fun. They have a fun dynamic because
I'll give you that.
Catanzaro is so small, and the Willow Nightingale, but the better version is like bigger.
Wow.
It's
Wow. No.
dead serious. Well, look, they got Sky Blue. We have Sky Blue at home too. In Cora Jade.
Yeah, but those are Shawn Michaels. I feel like those are Shawn Michaels girls, right?
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
And you look at it, and maybe, and obviously Asuka is Triple H's original,
Yeah.
And maybe that's why Bianca's been so heavily featured, and maybe that's why we're seeing less and less of Becky Lynch, and maybe that's why we're seeing a little bit less of Charlotte Flair, and maybe that's why we're seeing a little bit less of Natalya. And we're starting to get into this new crop of women superstars that Triple H helped cultivate their career. And you've got somebody like a Becky Lynch who while she was a standout in NXT, she wasn't like a Charlotte Flair standout in NXT.
No.
And Becky got over on the main roster.
Yeah,
and
after Nia Jax broke her nose.
Becky made her name on the main roster. I mean, it had happened before that, before she became the man. Like, it happened with, with the Becky section thing, and like, yeah, we were riding the rocket because nobody felt like she was given a fair shake. And I as a Becky Lynch fan through all that, I would agree that she kept getting overlooked, and I couldn't understand why. Her fans couldn't understand why. And now I feel like we're kind of circling back, and we're getting back into this thing where she's kind of maybe starting to feel that way again. Do you know what I mean? And Triple H got asked at the post-show press conference, about why certain matches were removed from the card, or the word that was used was bumped from the card.
Bumped, because they were bumped one way or the other. Yeah.
And Triple H kind of took a defensive. He got a little offended by this, I feel like. And he's like, "Hey man, like, the card wasn't announced. We hadn't given you guys a finalized card. We knew that this was happening. We knew this was happening. We didn't know any of this other stuff until just a couple of days ago, like how everything was going to shake out." He said, "I'm not doing my job if I don't have bullets in the chamber ready to go for this next show or this next appearance." And I feel like we're at a point where we're past all of that, and Becky's just right?
So
like, she personally feels she feels slighted, and he made a comment, and I want to bring this up before I get your answer,
okay,
because I'm gonna lay into this a little bit more here. Okay, he made a comment at the post-show press conference, and this probably went unnoticed by you, and that's okay.
Because I was falling asleep, man. I was like,
he said,
"Why, Jimmy?"
He talked about that. He was like, "Hey, man, I don't look at men and women, black, brown, purple, green, man, woman, whatever. They're talent, and you can go out there and get over, and whatever feels most important is what is going to be important." And he was like, sometimes life gives you lemons, and you got to go out and you got to make lemonade with them.
Oh yeah. What?
The caption on this here, Becky Lynch says, "I'm just making lemonade with all these lemons I've been given. What's everyone else up to this weekend?"
I made lemonade today.
You think she feels some sort of way, bud?
Yeah, no, she definitely feels some sort of way. Absolutely, 100%. I saw that and I was like, okay, that's shots fired there from Becky Lynch there in her multi-million-dollar kitchen. Good God.
Yeah, that Viking refrigerator is like $6,000.
Yeah, it's yeah. Yeah. That was actually my first thought. Like, looking at that, I'm like, shit, that's an expensive ass kitchen. Like, and then like,
that's how you know you're old. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's like, that's an expensive ass kitchen. Take that Viking range any day. Did you win MasterChef? Is that why that's there? Woo! I want that.
So I don't know. I thought that was. We found out she doesn't run her Twitter or her X, whatever the fuck it's
Her
called
ex.
these days.
No, she doesn't. Not anymore.
Zwitter. I mean, and she used fucking Twitter like nobody. But this is 1000% hers. Like, oh, okay, bud, I got you. A little passive aggressiveness from the man, huh?
I feel like she doesn't run it directly all the time, especially since she's gotten over like a lot. Like her not running it is sort of a semi-recent thing. But I think that she still has access to it, so that when she's feeling a little bit salty, sometimes she can just pull up the old Twitter machine and be like, Becky Lynch is salty. Boom. Also, she clearly didn't take that picture of herself. I'm not sure that.
Oh no, that's on a good rig, you know.
Yeah, I'm
That's
not sure. Yeah, somebody professionally took that picture. So
yeah. So I want to continue to dive into this WWE women's division, and I feel like the women's triple threat match is a good place to go next, right? First of all, I don't necessarily feel like putting Asuka in there fresh off this title win. You know, I mean, that happened at the Rumble, right?
yeah.
So
it's been
we're a couple
6
months.
6 months.
Mm,
No, Rumble's in January. We're 7 months.
Did it happen at the Rumble? No, it didn't happen at the Rumble. It's not. It's been fairly recently. I'd say 3 to 6 months. I don't remember exactly, but it's not been that long. See, that's a Derek thing. Asuka is a Derek thing. I don't know. Like, I feel like they put her in a bad spot here. Because you put yourself in there with Charlotte and Bianca Belair, and like, Bianca's not doing anything, and Charlotte's just doing whatever, and Asuka's getting a little bit of TV time, and she's doing something with it enough that you gave her a new championship, and you felt like she was the one to carry that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put her in there with two people like nobody in that match really deserved to lose, right? Like, you put yourself in a bad spot, and then you've got fucking uber popular Io Sky running around with a briefcase.
Money in the Bank briefcase. The more, not to cut you off, but the more I think about the Money in the Bank briefcase, the more I feel like the fact that there's two of them, especially, it's almost cheap at this point, because it almost makes whomever takes the title with that briefcase, it makes their title reign feel less than. And it feels like, especially in the women's division, historically, it's, once if they take it with the Money in the Bank briefcase, they don't hold on to it too terribly long. I think Bayley hung on to it for a long time, but if you remember, she lost it and then won it back real quick too, one time in the middle of that really long run. That I think she did initially win with the Money in the Bank contract, but then there was like a jump back and forth that had nothing to do with it, and then she continued to carry it for another couple of months. So I feel like it sort of cheapens that because somebody's losing their title, and you can always tell who's closer to not having a stalwart title. Like Rhea Ripley's super over right now. Were you going to take the belt off Rhea anytime soon? No, probably not. And you want to put her over as dominant.
No fucking way.
Exactly. So that leaves Asuka as the only real challenge, especially in the women's side. So, and when super over Io Sky, who is getting cheered like blowing roofs off buildings, gets it. And, like you said, Asuka's getting TV time doing something. It becomes painfully obvious, like, oh, Io's going to take that from Asuka, because that makes all the sense, right? As a smart Mark fan, that makes all the sense. And so it's like you've almost predicted the future, right? So when you see it happen, it kind of almost takes away one, from her, awesome Money in the Bank victory, and two, from just the surprise of the moment. Like, I like it better when it happens like randomly on in the middle of a Monday Night Raw or something. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that used to be kind of the thing where like somebody would come out and beat the champion like half to death with a chair, and then like Edge would run out and be like, let me cash it in right now. And whoever beat him with the death of the chair would try to hit Edge, and then Edge would like DDT him onto the chair, and then DDT the champ again, or like give him his finishing move because the champ was finally like, what happened? I'm dead. And he would give him the execution or whatever, or just spear him, and then 1, 2, 3, new champ. But it was like at 9 p.m. on a Monday. It was like it happened like kind of out of nowhere. Like it was just the middle of a segment, and all of a sudden we have a new world champ or something.
I mean, that was definitely like the first cash in that way was definitely the best cash in.
Yeah.
Because I think that Edge was he was the second one, wasn't he?
Yes.
The second Money in the Bank winner, and whoever won the first one, I can't fucking remember.
No, it was probably John Cena, honestly.
Like predetermined their cash in, like Roman did when he had it, or when Braun Strowman did a couple of years ago when he had it.
Yeah.
And then Edge won it in that fashion, and like it's like, oh, this is really fucking cool. But I do agree that it's gotten a little bit stale, the concept of the Money in the Bank. I mean, and AEW does it now too with the brass ring, which is a clear fucking knock.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. But it's literally the same thing. And I just don't. It's lost a little bit of its cachet, so to speak.
Especially for the women, because they're 100% right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And like we've had some really dumb angles the last couple of years with the Money in the Bank. Like the Otis thing was okay. I mean, he carried the lunchbox, which was fucking hilarious.
That was funny. But he ended up losing it to The Miz, that somehow ended up getting the title on Bobby Lashley. It was really a very, very convoluted roundabout way to get to where they wanted to be. But it made it like not worth it.
Who did The Miz beat? Who was
it Randy Orton? I think it was Randy Orton.
Was it?
Yeah, that was like Randy Orton's last like month and a half title reign.
Huh. I don't remember. Maybe it was.
I think it was Randy Orton. Yeah.
I mean, and that all ended up working out how it needed to work out. And if you go back, and I remember that episode vividly because like Miz is on the thing, and anywho, we thought that was a good idea how it all worked out. Got the Money in the Bank to Miz because Otis clearly had regressed. He wasn't what they thought he was when they put the Money in the Bank on him. And while it was funny with the little lunchbox thing, and then all of a sudden his lunch being in the briefcase and the contract in the lunchbox, it was all fun. It was all fun, but it ran its course. We waited too long. So then to make it a thing with the Miz and all of that. But then you had Austin Theory last year, so it's definitely lost some of that give a cur.
Especially when Theory cashed it in on the United States title. Like that to me really, because I know the thing was always, oh, you can have it on any you could cash in on any championship, but they clearly weren't going to let him cash in on Roman, and it was just so painfully obvious that it was just like, well, shit, what's he going to do? And like, guess he's going to have to go after a secondary title. And it's like, God, you've cheapened the whole thing. And it's never regained its luster.
No. And I think that needs to become less of a yearly thing. And like, let's utilize it as a tool a little bit better.
Yeah. Let's maybe let it take a year off. Cause I feel like
kind of like you're doing with the Hell in the Cell, where like you didn't run a Hell in the Cell event this year, but you had a Hell in the Cell match. Like, let's just put it in our back pocket. Let's stash it.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. And
give it a year.
Maybe some sort of story will present itself that we can use it.
Yeah.
Let's just calm down. But anyways, we digress. Start talking about Money in the Bank. But like I think that like the fact that we let EO cash in, and beat Bianca Belair is kind of where we're at in relation to this women's division as a whole. Now you've got two of Triple H's like top women that he always like, Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. And now they're both holding those championships. I don't believe that like Becky Lynch needs to be a champion. I think
I don't either.
Can just be Becky Lynch and still draw eyeballs. And like, I understand she's pissed off about SummerSlam and her and Trish getting pulled off of SummerSlam. I get that.
Rightfully so.
But I tend to agree with Triple H a little bit that the show was going to be too long. But in hindsight, I think that Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus would have been a better choice than Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler.
So, in one hand, yes, but in the other hand, I think the point of kind of just finishing Ronda up and getting her out of there is probably in the long term, especially, somebody with the star power of Ronda Rousey. I know you hated the match.
Hated it.
I know you hated it, but
hated it.
Ronda
Everything
Rousey,
about it, hated it.
Ronda's got the name recognition, and this was sort of a like, all right, we can take 8 minutes of SummerSlam because it was the shortest match on the card by far. We could take 8 minutes in SummerSlam, couple minutes for your entrances. You guys go out there, have 5 minutes to do whatever. It wasn't great. Shayna choked out Ronda at the end. Ronda passed out. And that's how Ronda leaves. And if that's how Ronda leaves, then fine. She put a friend over. That's all anybody will remember by it. I like that portion of it, especially if it gets rid of Ronda and allows Shayna to sort of have more shine, which she got some time on the card tonight. And I think she's also one of Triple H's people.
Yeah.
So I do think that, good things will happen for her. But I also
one
think
of the things she said in the ring when she was celebrating was, "It's my time now."
Yeah.
And I hope that it is.
Yeah, I do too. So I think despite the match being I'll call it a very TV level match, it was like a mediocre TV match is what it was.
It was like a bingo hall match, huh?
It wasn't. Yeah, I'm not that sour on it, but it was a mediocre TV match. And that's the kind of that's the kind of thing there is that it was the means to an end, right? We got rid of Ronda. Don't have to see Ronda come out and botch promos or like not give a shit in the ring anymore. And maybe we'll get Shayna some shine. I'm a big Shayna Baszler fan, so my hope is that this continues to be big things for Shayna, despite some sketchy matches. I don't know that Shayna can necessarily carry somebody to a great match like a lot of other people can, but I think Shayna is capable of having a great match. So I wouldn't hate to see, like a Shayna Baszler versus a Charlotte Flair, but a competitive match, something like that. So that's kind of where I hope this is all going. But, I know that the point of this discussion is that the women's division's kind of in a little bit of a lull right now. And yes. I know this is also part of that lull because this isn't exciting shit. This isn't putting eyeballs on the TV.
So, but I just don't, I can't sit here and agree with you that the means to the end is weighed more than what Becky and Trish have been doing.
Oh, so no, it's not. And you're right. I agree. But I think that they really, to kind of give Ronda that way out in the name recognition on sort of the second biggest show of the year, I think that was probably important to whomever negotiates this stuff behind the scenes. I think it was more important in that regard than this Trish and Becky stuff, because truth be told, they could push that off to the next pay-per-view, and that could almost main event the thing. You know what I mean? Backlash is the next one. So,
I thought, no, it's Payback.
Payback, right. That's right.
Triple H got that wrong at the press conference, but I wasn't going to say anything. Backlash is right after WrestleMania.
That's right.
Payback is going to be emanating from the PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Ooh, yeah.
And we are not going to be in attendance, I do not believe.
I don't think so either.
We're We're working through that.
I like so.
It's not looking good, but I guess that kind of lends some credence. And I thought the same thing about, the whole Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus thing. Like we could just continue to just let them be on TV together because it's been good TV. Like it's a good fucking story. It's a good angle. And like they both have a lot of name identity. And I think that.
And they've got Zoe Stark in. So even if Trish isn't there, Zoe and Becky can they had a great interaction tonight. So it's really kind of like they've got it laid out in such a way that they can just let it drip until Payback.
Do you think it's one of those things where like Triple H knows that? Because listen, I've used this tactic myself, right? It's one of those things where he knows like Triple H knows that Becky's pissed, right?
Oh yeah,
that she's not on SummerSlam, and then he goes in and he knows the spotlight's on him, and he knows that Becky's been very outspoken about not being on SummerSlam, and so he knows somebody's going to ask him the fucking question.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He knows, and he's like, all right, well, if she wants to fucking get out here and run her mouth, I'm going to call her out without calling her out, And he's like, hey man, here's the deal. Like, talent's talent. You need to show me that you want to be in the main event. You need to show me that these things. And she's going to be like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to fucking show up on Monday night and I'm going to fucking steal the show. Even if I get a 2-minute promo, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to steal the fucking show. Like, do you think that it's a little bit of like a reverse psychology thing? Maybe, Triple H is like, what we're going to do is we're going to make Becky and Trish the main event. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I would enjoy sitting live through Trish and Becky.
Absolutely, and I think that could, if they put give it TV time in the last week or two of the build up, I really think that they could pass it off, especially because Roman's probably not going to be on Payback. They could totally pass it off as like, well, this is the biggest match on this card. We have the name recognition of Trish Stratus, Attitude Era. We got Becky Lynch, so let's just put them together, and that's the main event for Payback. And you build on all your other mid card and undercard and main event stuff, but like this is the named attraction because you got Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus, and then you could call it a big deal too, as like, hey, this is only the third time that this is the first Payback that women have ever main evented or whatever, and you can get the good press for that too. So. It looks like a win-win from my perspective because you just get to kind of carry that on, and like you said, it's been good TV, and maybe it didn't need a SummerSlam blow off because it really didn't.
Yeah. So all of this talk about things where we're at, with AEW and where we're at with WWE and certain names being in the media and certain names being upset with certain things and the fan backlash that just seems to be all over the internet and even in the live arenas, with the fans at AEW that says book the women's division better. And, have we taken a step backwards in women's wrestling?
I think for the time being, yes. I think there was a time, maybe about a year ago, maybe a little more, where I feel like women's wrestling was really the best thing that was going on in either promotion. I definitely think the tables have turned, and I think the women's divisions, plural, have been booked either almost into non-existence or just kind of like has hit in sort of a lull where you're trying to introduce new stars, but you're trying to keep the middle stars over and you're trying to like filter out the older stars like we were talking about earlier. And I think it's all sort of been a little discombobulated as far as all that's concerned. So it's been a little duller than we're used to. Plus, there's been some injuries here and there, like we talked about Sonya Deville. Even where the bright spots were, it's like it's kind of been plagued by injury a little bit. So
you said about a year ago, huh?
Maybe a little more, but yeah.
Circles back. Seems like once Sasha Banks walked out, so did women's wrestling.
I mean, you could make that argument. I don't know that I'm going to make that argument, but I think there's an argument to be made. Because I don't know that Sasha was necessarily
I just made it.
I understand. I don't think Sasha was necessarily like blowing the roof off of places necessarily, but I do think that that's sort of the catalyst. It's like, you know, when they shot the bear at the zoo in Columbus, it was the gorilla. They shot the gorilla at the zoo in Columbus. They shot a bear later too, and some dogs at different zoos. It was a weird year for zoo shootings. That's sort of the catalyst to like what made everything suck in the future, like where we are now, like COVID and fucking all that other stuff, Trump, everything like that. Sort of people can like put that there as like the catalyst. You know, had we not shot the gorilla, maybe the world wouldn't have gone to shit.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm just saying. While you're saying Sasha Banks, I'm equating Sasha Banks leaving WWE.
Please stop while you're ahead.
To the shooting of the gorilla.
Stop. Just fucking
Dicks out for Harambe.
Oh,
Harambe. Dicks out.
Sasha Banks is fucking Harambe. Okay. All right. Hey, Tim, what's your match of the week?
It will come as no surprise that my match of the week comes from SummerSlam. But my match of the week, honestly, and I think the best match, the match that went out to steal the show, and nobody's going to be shocked by this, was Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins. I'm pretty sure every time that we've done this show where there's been a Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins match, that's been my match of the week. So I'm just going to remain consistent with that. Because that was my match of the week. How could it not be? It was great. That finish was I've seen those two wrestle probably a dozen times at this point.
Yeah, probably.
Somehow, every finish is like, holy crap, I can't believe they did that. And, you know, I went away with a smile on my face, and what a good match. What a good finish. Just what a well-booked piece of business there. So that's my match of the week.
Absolutely agree that was a well-booked piece of business. It was definitely a bright spot in the show for me. And my match of the week is the other bright spot in the show for me, and that would be Drew McIntyre versus Gunther. You know what I really enjoyed about it? Like I was sitting here and I kind of was zoned out because this came on after the Shayna Baszler Ronda Rousey fiasco, and I was like playing in my phone and shit, and they started to like fall into the video package for it. And instantly I perked up and I was like, whoa, I forgot about this, right? I was excited to watch this match. And I feel like they definitely delivered. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be though. You know, it was very much a big man work rate match. And I really, really fucking enjoyed it. You know, they definitely had some timing issues trying to work out a couple of their bigger planned spots. You know, and like I said earlier, timing to me was the big downfall of the SummerSlam show. I don't know, maybe it was probably humid as fuck in Detroit. You know, but I just the timing issues with everything has really fucked me up on SummerSlam. But you know, I with this I had a little bit more forgiveness because of the style of match that they were trying to work, and they actually did pretty good fucking job.
They beat the hell out of each other.
And they beat the hell out of each other.
They beat the hell out of each other.
You know, and it was everything that I wanted it to be. And you know, I knew deep down that Drew wasn't gonna win.
Yeah.
But
well, like I said, as he was coming out, they announced he was 45 days away. I was like, oh, Drew ain't getting this. That's almost like a cat, like a dog whistle. Yeah.
But also, I think in that point in time, the way that was built and how they had never wrestled each other before anywhere, that would have absolutely been the right person, the most believable person to beat Gunther. Yeah. To put him in a situation where he can challenge for the Universal Championship, because he would have lost zero credibility coming out of that.
No, absolutely, yeah.
But that was a fantastic match. For me, it was one of the bright spots of the show, and I was happy that it was there.
Great match. Good pick. I think those really were the best two matches. Shout out to the Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar match, which was probably the other best match, the third best match.
It was good. And I appreciated that Cody kind of beat him clean. There was a little bit of ring stare shenanigans that kind of made me like, is this like our
we talked
now?
about that. I was like, wait, stairs are legal?
Yeah.
Why are stairs legal? Yeah.
I think that we've all kind of glossed over the fact that people will throw people into the stairs and that's legal, and people will throw people onto the announce table and that's legal,
and into the ring posts too, bang into the post.
But there's just something about physically picking up the stairs that it just doesn't do it for me, right?
I agree. It's almost like it's like picking up the ring bell.
It's like it's okay to use your surroundings as they lie, right? Play it as it lies.
Right, but don't pick it up and chuck it into their face. Yeah, that's kind of where
but a friend of the show, Pat Martin, already texted me earlier and told me, hey, that's the fucking match. I said, okay, bud. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. And it was really cool. The moment afterwards was really cool too.
For sure. Absolutely. I'm a big fan.
All right, let's get up out of here, bub. Hey, if you're still here watching with us, we appreciate you. Please like and subscribe. As always, please make sure you check us out over on social media at @1_Fall WC. That's ONE. Hey, man. Hopefully next week we'll be back together. Some love and some cohesion. Great weekend of wrestling. Really looking forward to what we're gonna get moving towards Survivor Series. Even though that's kind of, but I feel like NXT might be back in that mix, and we'll go from there. So, as always, thanks for hanging out. It's all love. We'll catch you next week. One Fall WrestleCast.